angry.
I would love healing with Meri. I would love healing with Janelle. I would love healing with Christine.
I don't want to talk to Kody ever again.
How much longer until you just realize that he
wants to see me? I really want to tell him that we'll never be friends.
I wanted to apologize with all my heart. I said I didn't love you. That wasn't true.
Welcome back to my channel. For years I've said that even though Kody always claimed he didn't love his ex-wives and that Robyn was the love of his life, he was never going to be satisfied with just one woman. Every time a new wife entered the picture, she became his favorite for a time, and if he ever had the chance to add another wife, I believe he would eventually put Robyn aside too. When Kody sat in those tell-alls saying he never loved Janelle, Christine, or Meri, it felt like he was simply trying to justify why they left him. It was his way of protecting his ego. By insisting he never loved them, he could explain away the collapse of his marriages as something other than his own failure. This new season looks like it's shaping up to be Kody's redemption tour, where he tries to win back some respect by apologizing to the women and sharing his feelings. Christine actually posted the full clip from the season on her Instagram, captioning it with, "Here we go, gulp." She's the only cast member who has promoted the new season. Meri and Janelle haven't shared anything. Christine does have a storyline, though the trailer was mostly focused on Kody. What we saw of Christine was limited, her talking about David doing something with Kody, the two of them driving together, her saying she didn't want to meet with him, and finally sitting at a table while Kody says, "I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart." Christine's storyline also seems to include some jealousy and frustration when her kids move to North Carolina, since that puts them closer to Janelle and leaves Christine feeling a bit rejected. I also noticed there wasn't nearly as much footage of Christine and Janelle together compared to past seasons since their split. That makes me think they'll remain close, but not nearly as connected as they once were, with their lives heading in very different directions. If Christine is feeling jealous about her kids being near Janelle, could that cause tension in their friendship? And then, when Kody brings up the idea of adding new wives, there's this massive painting right behind him, a portrait of Kody and Robyn kissing by his old Lexus. That piece was reportedly very expensive and may have been commissioned after all the other wives left, as a token of his undying love for Robyn and his happiness that she said yes. The artist who created it even shared details about the work on her website. "I'm so happy to finally introduce this massive painting, 36 by 72 by .25. 36 is 3 feet tall and 72 is 6 feet long. It was commissioned by the lucky gentleman on the car for his wife. The reference photo was taken the day she said yes to his proposal. This legacy painting is filled with so much love. The gold leaf framing the scene tells, in their own words, their love story. The music that played in the background while I created it was the music of their courtship. My studio was filled with their love of beauty, and the divine love that accompanied any creative endeavor. It was challenging to bring into being, and I found out how innovative I needed to be to do it. I also discovered how much in love I am with working large scale and look forward to creating more legacy pieces. For the reveal, both my client and his wife saw the piece for the first time together on their anniversary. He brought her over with the pretense of picking a painting for their anniversary. After a nerve-wracking little art show, I said, "There's one more piece in here I think you may like," and led them to the studio door where I left them alone to take it in. I felt the ancestors and sacredness of this project multiple times during this painting process. I knew they would feel it too. To be trusted to create something on this scale with total artistic license was a dream come true. That painting is massive, and what makes it even more insulting is the context. Kody had 3 wives at home, and one of them was pregnant at the time Robyn said yes to his proposal. None of that is acknowledged, and instead, it's presented as if their love story existed in a bubble, which feels like a slap in the face considering what the rest of the family went through. It really comes across as a flashy reminder of who Kody and Robyn are, the kind of people who would commission something like this. I checked the artist's pricing, and it is far from cheap. She charges anywhere from $7.50 to $8.33 per square inch for portraits. Using the high end as a reference, especially since this was described as her most expensive piece, that comes out to a minimum of about $21,000. And that's before adding in the gold leaf frame, which would have driven the cost up even more. Realistically, this painting probably cost Kody over $25,000, maybe significantly more. Meanwhile, he was fighting with his other wives over money and Coyote Pass. When the land was sold, it seems likely that some of that money, along with proceeds from his home sale, went toward commissioning this painting, a piece that, to many, represents the pain and fallout of his choices. He spent upwards of $25,000 on it, and honestly, I think it's ugly. Not because the artist did poor work, but because the story behind it makes it impossible to see it any other way. What makes this even more ridiculous is that Kody is sitting right in front of this massively expensive painting on his wall, a piece he spent an enormous amount of money on. And the thing is, it has no value to anyone else. It's not like a collectible or a piece of fine art that others would want to buy. This painting belongs to Kody and Robyn alone, which means he basically threw $25,000, maybe even more, into something that only matters to them. Meanwhile, the artist described it as a legacy filled with so much love, talking about the sacredness and even the presence of ancestors she felt while creating it. But as Kody sits in front of that very painting, he's telling Robyn that another woman wants to join their family. Just think about that for a second. Viewers noticed that the editing made it seem like Robyn wasn't thrilled with the idea of adding new wives, though of course we can't know for sure how accurate the editing was. Still, I stand by this, even though Robyn says she supports polygamy, I don't think she actually wants to live it in reality. It's one thing to believe in a faith that tells you polygamy is required for heaven, but living that way, and asking anyone else to live that way, is a whole different story. I'm not defending Robyn, but honestly, I wouldn't fault any woman who didn't want to share her husband. If Robyn doesn't want to share, if she can't work well with her sister wives, if she wants to hold on to the money, buy dolls, and have Kody commission her a $25,000 painting, then maybe she shouldn't also have to take on the stress of another wife. And truthfully, I wouldn't blame her if she said no. But here's the problem: if Robyn refuses Kody's idea of bringing in another wife, then everything she has said about polygamy, her beliefs, her commitment, her insistence that this was a divine family, and that she was sealed to Kody knowing he had other wives, will look like a complete lie. If she backs out now, she's going to look like a hypocrite, especially since just last season she was the one saying, "Are we going to try? Are we going to try to get him more wives?" And Kody's response was, "I don't know, I don't know." And now, here we are this season, with Kody online entertaining women and seeing if any are interested in joining the family. And then Robyn is sitting there looking upset, frustrated, and honestly annoyed. She's about to face the harsh reality that if Kody were to bring in another wife, she would no longer be the center of his world. For the first time, she might finally understand what the other wives went through. Robyn's experience has been completely different from theirs. She didn't marry Kody when they were poor or struggling. Sure, maybe briefly, but by the time they were courting, the show had already started. She never had to live through financial instability, worrying about food, or constantly moving out of fear of being arrested. For the last 5 years, she and Kody lived comfortably in the house they just sold. She's never had the same insecurity the others did. She's also been able to live publicly as his legal wife from the start, which meant she didn't carry the shame the spiritual wives did. For the past decade, she's been Kody's legal partner. That's been her position. But now the question is, if Kody adds another wife, why is he doing it? He said on the show that he doesn't believe in the faith anymore. If that's true, is he lying? Does he reject polygamy, Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and all of Mormon doctrine tied to plural marriage? Or is he doing it simply because he wants someone new? The whole foundation of polygamy for these women was the promise of eternity and exaltation in heaven. So if that faith isn't there anymore, how can you justify living polygamy at all? Without that belief, it just looks like Kody wants another partner for selfish reasons. And convincing Robyn of that is going to be a lot harder. He's already said before that he was finished with plural marriage, that he would never take on another wife. But here we are now, with him online talking to women, entertaining the idea, and considering it again. This brings me back to one point: I don't think Kody is truly done with the faith. Maybe he's done with parts of it or the church itself, but plenty of fundamentalist men create their own rules outside organized religion. They run their families however they want, without elders or any accountability. And if that's where Kody is now, then no one is keeping him in check. That raises the bigger question: how do you keep building a plural family without a church, without the structure, without the garments, and without the doctrine? Because if the faith isn't guiding you, then the only reasons left are power, ego, and control. Robyn has to decide whether this is the life she really wants. She knows that if Kody takes another wife, she will eventually be pushed aside. That's been the pattern for every other woman. Once their time with him expired, they realized they weren't valuable to him anymore. This might finally be Robyn's wake-up call. And again, what makes it even more shocking is that Kody is having this conversation about new wives while literally standing in front of that giant $25,000 portrait he commissioned. My friends in the AUB honestly believe Kody would take another wife without hesitation. They think his ego simply won't let him stop. If Robyn truly believes in the doctrine, her role would be to accept it quietly and go along with it. But based on how much control she has in this marriage, I'm not sure that will happen. So what do you think? Is it outrageous that Kody has this over-the-top, expensive painting and is standing in front of it while talking about adding a new wife? Do you think Robyn sees that money is disappearing from her life if he does this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.